What is something you never thought you'd be able to do, until you actually did it? Quit smoking cigarettes. I didn't intend for it to happen, but I ended up in the hospital for 6 days, and when I got out, I decided to never go back. It's been really hard though. Similar story, only with me it was a throat infection so bad I couldn't eat anything for 3 straight days. It took weeks to cure completely, and by that time I just didn't feel the urge to immediately smoke, so I kept postponing to tomorrow, next week, next month. Eventually I just gave up. One of the best things I've ever done. Stay strong. So I worked in retail as a teen, and now as an adult, I work in management at a transportation company. I was always the type to try to please the customer, best values first, always polite, blah blah blah. Now, if a customer gets all the way to me with a problem, it means that nobody beneath me could help them, and I'm usually the only human being that can fix it. Lot of times, people are irate, demanding I be fired, the driver be fired, fuck me, I'm a stupid bitch, yada yada. I realized that now, I don't have a boss watching over me during these interactions, so now I broke my last morals and speak to them plainly when they get that way. I say something like, I'm not customer service, I'm the person who can actually fix your issue. You can call me a bitch or demand I be fired, or you can let me help you. I can see where your package is. I can have a driver stop by within the hour to help fix this. If you just want to vent at me, fine. I'm happy to listen. If you want to solve this, then I'm going to need you to meet me halfway and listen to what we need to do next. Of course I don't take an angry tone, I just keep it neutral and calm. It's like fucking magic. Holy shit. Takes the wind out of their sails. 100 to 0 in one little can speech. By the end of the call, we fix the issue and they're in a much better mood. Shit, I've had a few apologize for their behavior. And they don't send in a complaint again. Old me would have been horrified, but now I can't imagine being fake nice and pandering ever again. I have a great relationship with our regular customers. It doesn't work for every person on the other end, but for 99% of the population, they just want to feel like there's someone on their side. It feels like a drug high telling a person that no, you can't talk to me that way. Apparently my predecessor used to take screaming people, tell them she wasn't going to deal with that, and was putting them on hold for 5 minutes. When she was back, they could talk. If they were still screaming, she'd ask if they needed a few more minutes to collect themselves. I have hung up on people before for cursing at me. Sometimes I call back and say I don't know what happened, the phone disconnected. And then I start the conversation again and they are usually calmer as a result. There was one woman who was so nasty that my coworker, who was my assistant manager at the time, could hear her through my phone, and I hung up and she immediately called back and that coworker answered and she tried to play the victim card, saying that I was a mean old teller that hung up on her for no reason, and my coworker told her that he was next to me when I hung up and he could hear her inappropriate words and understood and supported my house to hang up, and without missing a beat said, "Are you going to do the same to me, or would you rather we resolve your issue?" So glorious. I will never forget it. Control my impulses, intermittent fasting to stop eating all the time, no FAP to stop masturbating 5 times a day, no PC so I actually do something in my free time instead of staring at a screen for hours doing nothing. I don't do this all the time. I now masturbate maybe once a week and play PC games every other day, but at first it was what I needed to put a break on my bad habits. The first time you realize you can go through the morning without eating and don't die, or keep from jacking off and use that pent-up energy in a better way, exercising, for example, it is liberating. You are your own master. Never forget that. Public speaking. Took me a bit to get over the anxiety, but it's much easier for me now. Teach. When I first stood at the front of the class and saw the first little 6-year-olds walk in, I froze for a minute and my brain went, oh shit. What have I gotten myself into? Nearly a year later, and the kids all trust me. They've all made great progress. When one of them is upset they ask for me, not my TA or LSA or their previous teacher. Despite COVID they're all doing pretty well and I feel like whilst I'm not the best I could be yet I am making a difference in their lives. Turn my life around. 100 push-ups a day. I pretty much skyrocketed from 50 to 150 within 1 week. Been stuck at 50 for months before that. Lost over 50% of my body weight and got abs. Run a marathon. I have a PhD, and yet that darn marathon is probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Stand up to my mum. Growing up was so hard cause all of my siblings would constantly be shit on and forced to be around her awful partners while she would fake cry because we didn't appreciate her enough. I was the first of my siblings to speak up and man it took a lot, but it was worth it. Ride a bicycle. I grew up with the knowledge that everyone I know around me knows at least how to ride a bicycle, or at least some that don't are very good at keeping it a secret. I get to the point where I thought it was too late for me to learn it, about age 16, 17, but then I was forced to learn it because I was going to college in another town and I might need my own vehicle to go around there, which was a motorcycle, a small one, not like those big ones you see touring around countries. Before that point, I've had dreams of riding a bicycle even though I can't. And I have tried to learn how to do it by myself but have failed multiple times miserably because I just didn't get how to do it, how to balance myself and all that. So then comes the time I tried to learn again, this time from a proper teacher, my older cousin who was in town, and the feeling that I had, successfully riding that bicycle for the first time. It stuck with me. It's one of the memories I used to pinpoint where in life I actually felt happy, because it felt so free. Like, I unlocked a part of me that I should have unlocked years ago when I was a kid. Lose weight. One day I just did it. I tossed out all of the cakes and got rid of all of my soda. Then started doing cardio. Now I eat better and only drink water when I am thirsty. I do 2 hours of cardio a day and I went from being 241 pounds to 216 pounds, which is good for my height. I don't have a goal weight, because I think people hit their goal weight, get lazy and start putting the weight back on. This is a total lifestyle change for me to lose the weight and keep it off, save up $100,000 in the bank, get good grades, confess to my crush, I get rejected BTW, pray a lot, understand hard math, become a little more attractive, graduated college. Struggled in grade school, but made it at UNI, get my license. Keep in mind, I know how to drive and have known how to drive for many years, but I live in a state where diabetes is considered a condition where you have to get doctor approval. Problem is, I was being seen by the county's health system, and every time I'd establish myself with a doctor, they'd want to get to know me before signing off on my paperwork. Problem was, they'd get promoted out and I'd have to go to a new doctor. It happened way too much, and I also ended up having to move a few counties away, so that didn't help things either. Finally, almost 10 years later, I'm not having a good time. Girlfriend's having a cancer scare. Thankfully nothing. My depression is raging out of control, everything is utter garbage around me and I'm falling to bits. I go see my doctor as usual, I kinda just vent on her about what's going on and mention not being able to get around without my license has been bad and stop. I think I know you well enough and I've looked at your records enough. You're going to march over to the DMV, and you're going to apply for your license. If they tell you no, you're going to ask why. If they need me to vouch for you, I will absolutely say whatever they want to hear to give it to you. It's the least I can do to ease your burden. And damn if she didn't deliver. DMV wanted my doctor's affirmation I was good to go, and she signed off on it without question. Got a notice in the mail a couple weeks later that the medical block on my driver's record was erased, and I was clear to go. I legitimately still thought I was dreaming when I actually did the drive test. And when I got the actual license card in the mail. That entire year fucking sucked, but that victory I've been hammering away at for 10 years. It completely redeemed the fuck out of that year for me. Investing in real estate. I don't know about other countries, but in France, people cannot pay their rent and still they can stay in the house when it's winter. I was afraid of people like this and not be able to pay the bank. I was also afraid of taxes. This goes pretty well. It's been 8 months now and I just get the money on my bank account every month and it pays most of everything. 19 years left, get a girlfriend. It was honestly a really weird feeling. Play the guitar. I tried and gave up like 5 or 6 times, never making it more than a week. I just thought this is too hard and I can't do it. Maybe I'll try again later. Finally, when I was about 12, my dad got a Fender Telecaster from a friend and I started playing it again. But I told myself this is the last time I will try this thing. No more second tries. Eventually I figured it out. Been playing about 12 years now. I'm no virtuoso and I can't shred. I barely know theory. But I can play most chords and I can finger pick and I'm learning to flat pick very slowly and it still brings me joy to this day. Fight my depression and anxiety. The light at the end of the tunnel seems so small when you're going through that experience, but somehow I managed to make it out. Learn ballroom and Latin dancing. My mum browbeat me into signing up for dance lessons. I ended up going for 2 years before stopping. Mostly because it got too expensive, but also because I kinda lost the enthusiasm for it. Maybe it's because I didn't have a partner back then. I'm married now, but my wife isn't really into dancing. I tried suggesting we sign up for lessons, but we only did that before our wedding to prepare a dance routine. As a side bonus, the lessons gave me a pretty big confidence boost. Before I was shy to even touch a woman's back, I was already well in my 20s, BTW. That went away quickly. And no, I didn't become a creep as a result. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Plus it allowed me to overcome that whole guys don't learn this type of dancing stereotype. Can I dance now? Not nearly as well as before, but I still got some moves. Got a driver's license. For so many years I had anxiety about taking the test, not specifically driving. I guess I was afraid to fail. One day I just made an appointment and got my license on a random Tuesday and a car that same weekend. It was kind of crazy. MMA, I assumed it was stereotypical high school football team X2 and that I wasn't badass or tough enough for it. I loved hockey and lacrosse growing up, but I didn't really fit in socially. I even wanted to play football, but most of the people on the football team were assholes to me. I also didn't understand weight class, so I assumed I would get pummeled by people who were twice my size. The guy who broke the stereotype for me was a 5 feet 9 inches super lightweight who was short, stocky and built like a real fighter. He was a ranked boxer and a captain on the high school wrestling team. It was really strange being able to throw him around and take him down even though he could destroy me when he tried. Getting my ass handed to me by him was also strange in that I didn't feel like I was being physically dominated or bullied into submission. It just felt like he was constantly taking my balance away and then using my lack of balance to manipulate me into a more defensive position. The first time I set foot in a gym, I was terrified. Before I quickly realized that everyone there were a bunch of nerds. Fight nerds. If I do X, you do Y. If you do Y, I do Z. When I do Z, neither of us can do anything, so we go right back to A. Eventually I realized that it was all just a matter of repetition, physical problem solving, knowing what to do, when and then baking that knowledge into muscle memory.